This is not just a tale. It's a scream beneath silence. A tear that never dried. A voice that fought through pain. In a world where hope seems lost and darkness hides behind smiling faces, this story reminds us that survival is not just about breathing. It's about choosing to live when everything inside you is breaking. Before we begin, please take a moment to like and subscribe to Annex Survive and Tell, where real lives, real pain, and real survival are brought to life through powerful animation. This is more than storytelling, this is healing. Welcome to the story that might just change how you see the world, and yourself. My name is Samira, and this is the part of my life I never thought I'd tell out loud. I was just 12 when the war stole everything. My family, my childhood, and my peace. But I'm still here. And if you're listening, thank you. Because maybe, just maybe, sharing this will help someone else survive too. It was supposed to be just another morning. I was helping Mama in the kitchen when the first bomb dropped. The ground shook violently. My little brother and sister screamed. That was the day my sky fell. Not just the roof over my head, but my entire world. I clawed through debris to find my father's hand. Lifeless, cold, and crushed beneath what used to be our home. My mama died too. I didn't cry. I couldn't. My soul had already started building walls around my pain. With nothing but a bundle of clothes, my sibling and I joined hundreds fleeing the village. No destination. Just a direction. Every step felt like walking through broken glass. Physically, emotionally, endlessly. 3 days without food. My stomach didn't growl, it begged. A boy shared his last biscuit with me. He died 2 days later. I never forgot his face, kind, tired, and brave. We huddled under a tree on a freezing night. My little sister never woke up. I wrapped her in my shawl and kept her close until sunrise. I still feel her warmth in that scarf today. I stopped speaking. Trauma stole my voice. People thought I was broken. I wasn't. I just couldn't find words strong enough to explain what I'd lost. They called it a refugee camp. To me, it was a graveyard of dreams. Rows of tents. Crying babies. Hopeless stares. But in the darkest places, small lights still flicker. She danced in the mud. Her name was Miriam. She smiled like nothing was wrong. The day she stepped on a landmine. Her shoes were the only things left untouched. I kept one. One woman, an aid worker, hugged me without asking anything. I melted in her arms. That moment reminded me I was still human. Still worthy of love. Someone gave me a pencil. I started writing every night under torchlight. My pain poured into the pages. It became my therapy, my resistance, my voice. I once stood at the river, thinking of letting go. But Mama's face flashed in my mind. I chose to live. Not because it was easy, but because I had to. After the bombing, everything I knew was gone. My childhood home, reduced to ashes. I held on to the only thing I had left, my mother's scarf. That scent kept me sane when silence became unbearable. I didn't feel the shrapnel until I saw the blood. The pain came after. That scar reminds me every day that I lived. And others didn't. Some days, I feel guilty for surviving. We couldn't afford coffins. We wrapped my brother in a blanket and laid him in the ground ourselves. My hands, covered in the dirt of his grave, trembled from heartbreak. We waited 3 hours for a loaf of bread. A stranger gave me half of hers. She said, "You look like my daughter before the war." I never saw her again. But she saved me that day. After the airstrike, I didn't speak for weeks. My aunt thought I'd gone mute. But I just couldn't find the words. What could I say, when everything was shattered? We slept on the floor. I cried myself to sleep. Not because of the cold, but because I realized this was our new home. Every night, I wrote letters in a torn notebook. To my dad, to my mom. I imagined mailing them. But I knew, those letters were never going anywhere. I stopped feeling hunger after a while. It became a quiet ache, like grief. Something that's always there. I once took a blanket from a pile of aid supplies. Later, I learned it had belonged to a little girl who'd frozen to death the night before. I still sleep under it. A man with one arm played a broken guitar outside our tent. His voice cracked, but the melody lifted our spirits. That night, I remembered what it felt like to smile. The storm came hard. The tent collapsed. Everything soaked. I whispered stories to keep my cousin awake. If she slept, she'd freeze. A little boy in the camp did impressions of the guards. He was hilarious. For a moment, the sorrow lifted. Laughter felt strange. Like tasting sugar after months of salt. I spoke again. Quietly. I started telling my story. First to the woman who brought bread. Then to a camera. Then to the world. I'm not the girl I used to be. War took her. But it didn't break me. I tell my story not for pity, but for truth. Because somewhere out there, another Samira is trying to survive. And maybe, my voice will help her find hers.